I want to take you live to Surfside, where we're getting an update on the rescue efforts going on in Surfside.
Provided. We've already, FEMA's already personally registered a number of families for individual assistance, and obviously as this unfolds there'll potentially be more who will qualify. So we want to thank them for their willingness to do that. Also want to thank all the folks that have been out there. If you look at that rubble now, you see folks on top, you see major machinery, and they're working round the clock like they have been from the wee hours of the morning. And so I want to thank all the search and rescue teams for their tireless efforts. They've stepped up to the plate and they have not stopped during this whole time. We'll be discussing with the county about whether we need additional personnel to backfill them. We have not yet to this point. We did get a small team from Israel to come. A lot of the families who have unaccounted for loved ones wanted that. That was something that obviously we welcomed them. So they've been on site as well. And again, they're looking for if there's voids where they can potentially rescue somebody. That's kind of the name of the game. Obviously, you're going to start to see a lot of major debris that are going to be moved out of there. There's a site that's located. The debris that gets out does have forensic value, and so that's going to be parsed once it's taken. There's a big warehouse that's been identified. The state's assisting with some of the machinery and some of the dump trucks to be able to move that out as appropriate. Thanks to the community for stepping up. We have huge amounts of money that have been pledged or that have been donated. There's going to be folks that are displaced. There's folks that's lives have been shattered as a result of this, and so to see people coming together to support their fellow Floridians, and actually some are not even Floridians, but they're still part of the family down here. We really appreciate it, and we also appreciate the collaboration with the federal government, and then as well working with our great first responders locally. Florida DEM stands by to meet any unmet needs. We don't have any right now, but it should summarize. We'll be there for them, and we'll be there for the folks down here in Miami-Dade County. So it's a pleasure for me to be able to welcome the FEMA administrator. I appreciate her responsiveness and authorizing the individual assistance for those who've been affected. So, Administrator.
Thank you, Governor. On behalf of the President, our hearts go out to all of the families and the loved ones who've been affected by this really tragic incident. And we join countless others across the nation and really across the world who are keeping everybody in our thoughts as we continue to wait for additional information. I'd also like to recognize the amazing work that's been going on by the first responders, the urban search and rescue teams. They've been working tirelessly 24 hours a day since this happened, and it's a true testament to the amount of resources and the level of skill that's located right here in the community. And I think it's also really important to recognize how the community has really come together. The number of volunteers that have shown up, the number of nonprofit organizations, community members have really all come together to help this community in time of great need. And FEMA is here to assist with that. We are here to assist with any resources that might be needed as this response continues and we move into recovery efforts. We do have urban search and rescue teams that are available to come in and assist as the need is determined. We've also brought in the Army Corps of Engineers to provide some additional technical assistance. And we are committed to working with the incident commander, with the mayor and the governor and the state team to bring in any additional resources that might be needed throughout this event. We have also, as the governor mentioned, began registering families who need assistance, and we are going to be working with them directly, face to face, as they learn how to apply for assistance and navigate the federal system. And we are going to make sure that we give them the assistance that they need. Governor, Mayor, helping serve this community is our top priority. And I want you to know that we are here to support with whatever the federal government can bring to assist as long as we need to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor, and thank you, Administrator. And now the Miami-Dade County Mayor, Daniela Levine Cava.
Good morning, everyone. Here we are, day 4. We have the governor, we have the FEMA administrator. We are so grateful for their presence and for the incredible teams that they've brought to bear here in this community. And as you know, we've been working around the clock. Since the wee hours of the morning, Thursday, we've been here 24 hours a day. Our teams have done an amazing job, and yesterday we suppressed the fire that had been going out of control and the smoke that was inhibiting activities in certain parts of the pile. So around noon yesterday, that was brought under control, making it possible for the search to continue in those areas as well. So throughout the rest of the day and through the night and till now, we are working. We have 6 to 8 squads that are on the pile, actively searching at any given time. Hundreds of team members are on standby to rotate as we need a fresh start. So we are not lacking any personnel, but we have the best. We have the right people and the right number, and we are getting it done. As we continue to sweep these piles with our canines, with our cameras, with our sonar, we are standing with our engineers as well, making sure that our first responders are safe. We need to be sure that the pile does not fall on them, that it does not fall on any possible survivors, and we are diligently pursuing that as we do our work. So we're cutting a deep trench to assist us. It's now 125 feet in length into the pile. It's 20 feet wide and 40 feet deep. Now, this trench is very critical to the continuation of the search and rescue process. We've continued all night to build that trench, and as a result of that, we were able to recover 4 additional bodies in the rubble, as well as additional human remains. As of today, 1 victim passed away in the hospital, and we've recovered 8 more victims on site. So I am confirming today that the death toll is at 9. We've identified 4 of the victims and notified the next of kin. My deepest condolences to the families, the friends, the communities of those who've lost their lives, and my prayers with the families and the whole community as they mourn this tragic loss. We are making every effort to identify those others who have been recovered, and additionally contacting their family members as soon as we are able. So we're going to continue to work closely with our partners, the state and FEMA. We have all the resources that we need to do this work, and we have the assistance that these families need. We're meeting constantly with the family members, giving them the updates first so they don't hear it on the news, so that they can talk with us, ask questions, and mourn with us as they hear bad news and continue searching for survivors with us. They're receiving multiple briefings every single day. Volunteer Florida is coming. Thank you so much to the Florida Department of Emergency Management for deploying them, and they will assist us in coordinating the many, many donations, the outpouring of support from the community. These donations are incredible, and we do need help to coordinate that. So I want to continue to share how grateful we all are right here in Surfside in Miami-Dade County in Florida for the entire world reaching out, caring about what happens to us here. We feel your love, we hear your prayers. These mean so much to us and to the families as we continue our efforts. So God bless our families, God bless our first responders, and to all those that we've lost, thank you, you're in our prayers. Nuestra búsqueda de rescate continúa 24 horas
All right, we are going to
al día.
recap for you what Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava just talked about as she translates in Spanish. The big news here, the death toll now at 9. She also mentioned 4 victims have been identified and next of kin notified. She talked about the progress they've made on those search and rescue efforts, some recovery, unfortunately, but she mentioned cutting a deep trench in that rubble. She gave us very specific details, talking about how that deep trench was about 125 feet in length, 20 feet wide, and that is why they were able to pull out more bodies and sadly more human remains. Of course, she also mentioned the community effort, thanking people not just in this community, but from all of Florida and really around the world. She says, we hear your prayers and that they're much appreciated by the community here in Surfside.
The governor also spoke, as well as the FEMA administrator. The governor saying they're going to start moving major pieces of debris away from that pile, and it will be housed in a warehouse. They've identified a warehouse where all the debris will be taken, and then it will undergo forensic investigation. The FEMA administrator, as I mentioned, is on site. She's offering any assistance that is needed to the crews, the rescue crews who are on site. Anything they need, FEMA will provide. The Army Corps of Engineers are now also on site providing assistance, and they're going to provide, FEMA's providing assistance to the surviving residents, because obviously they have no place to stay, and that is going to be done through the federal government as well.
And something too that stood out to me, Keith, is how they talked about how much they're going to be assisting, not only just obviously financially and giving them housing, but also helping them get through that process. As we know, in times like this, there's so much chaos and stress navigating logistics, or even getting the right contact information, getting through on phone numbers can be extremely difficult. So that's something too that FEMA administrator, as well as Governor Ron DeSantis, really emphasize, that they're going to be working directly with those families to make sure that it's as easy and as streamlined for them as possible.
The big news today, obviously, is that more bodies were recovered, and sadly, and as graphic as it is, they're also finding body parts. The total now is 9 dead. As we understand it, Mayor Cava was saying that 6 to 8 teams are on that pile at one time, 6 to 8, and then they rotate them out quite frequently. Engineers do remain here because this is a very precarious situation. The debris pile could shift, so they have engineers there on site to make sure that the crews that are on that pile and in that pile are indeed safe. And as we understand it, they at one point had lasers pointed at the structure that is still there because they were concerned that that might be shifting. We haven't gotten an update about that here in quite some time, but it's just a precarious situation there, and you got to feel for these crews who are putting hours and hours of sweat equity into rescuing people, and that is the point today, is that this is still very much a rescue operation.
And you know, there has been a lot of frustration expressed by family members and loved ones, as well as other members of the community. They keep reminding everyone that people are working. They have the fire that was out of hand under control. They have, as you mentioned, 6 to 8 squads on the pile actively searching at any given time. All right, let's listen in to the mayor of Surfside.
We're pulling residents out of the rubble, and we're supporting the families. That's our only objective right now. And to that end, we all were up at the family meeting this morning, and there was a little reassurance for the families, which was wonderful. It was nice to come out of there. The mayor has engineered teams to come from out of the country, into our country, from Israel and from Mexico, and they have now been embedded with our teams, our world-class teams. I want to add that one of the questions from the residents was pretty poignant, and they wanted to know if the Israeli team thought that the Miami-Dade team had been doing the right thing. The gentleman, the commander from the Israeli team, did not hesitate, turned around and said they've been doing exactly the right thing, which was a beautiful validation of the state-of-the-art sort of techniques and the integrity and the energy and the enthusiasm and the dedication that we have with our team members here. I want to add right now that there's been some discussion about the sister building, which is basically the identical building in almost every way to the one that collapsed, built by the same contractor around the same time, with the same essential plans, and probably with the same materials. And given that I was not able to answer questions that were coming in from residents about the safety of that particular building, given this other one had collapsed out of the blue, I had reached out to Mayor Cava and Senator Rick Scott and asked them if they thought it was a good idea if we gave people the choice to potentially relocate and the support. After that, meeting with Governor DeSantis and his team, we determined that there was going to be support available. So we've gone ahead and advised the Condominium Association that should they feel uncomfortable staying in that building, given the circumstances, that we have alternatives for them. I'm not sure everybody's going to take advantage of that, but that is the state of affairs right now with respect to that. So anyway, that's the update. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And now the Lieutenant Governor, Janet Núñez.
Voy a decir unas palabras en español, como escuchaste la alcaldesa indicar.
All right, while we hear from the Lieutenant Governor speaking in Spanish, we're going to recap what some of Charles Burkett, the mayor of Surfside, had to say. I think the big point is talking about that family meeting at the Family Reunification Center at the Grand Beach Hotel, not too far from this scene here. He mentioned how families actually felt a little reassured this morning. He described that as wonderful because a lot of concern and frustration from those family members we've been seeing in the past few days. One of the main questions he pointed out was that the Israeli team that is now here, that we've been talking about all morning long, asking those team members, do they feel that our Miami-Dade fire rescue teams are doing the right thing? Well, the mayor of Surfside affirming from that team that our rescue crews have been doing exactly what they should be doing. He called it a beautiful validation, talking about the state-of-the-art techniques, the integrity, the energy, the enthusiasm, and really speaking to the dedication that our team members, our local search and rescue teams have here. Again, as we've been hearing, that small team from Israel coming, a lot of families here, Jewish families, some families with ties directly to Israel, and that, as he mentioned, just a huge, huge update for those families this morning.
I did hear a number that there were at least 20 Israeli nationals that were in that building. So that's obviously why Israel is ponying up their search and rescue teams. It was a commander that was asked that question. Let's go to Pepe
Your
Diaz.
job has
Commissioner
been incredible.
Jose
The
Pepe
job
Diaz.
that you're doing and getting the information out has helped so many, especially the people that are not here, that they have their families and they're foreigners. So I wanted to thank you and start with that. I want to thank the firefighters that do not stop. They do not. It's 24 hours on, non-stop. All the teams that are here, the first team that was here, our USAR team, and the new teams that have arrived from outside the country. I want to thank all of them. I also want to thank the administrator for showing up and helping us as she's done, and I appreciate that tremendously, as our governor and the whole team from the representatives and the senators from the state of Florida that have been here. Also, the mayor, a standing job with the other mayors of other cities and working together. We are working together as one team to solve this issue as fast as possible and try to get the information to the families, which are in a very difficult place. They want to know information, they need to know information, but it is a slow process, and it's a process that has to be done the way it's being done. And I know that's difficult, but that is the way it is. So once again, there's a lot of thank yous to be given, and as the administrator said from FEMA, the community has really stepped it up and done an incredible job in volunteering, making sure food is here for the first responders and the families and everything else that is needed. So for us, thank you as a government. And I'll tell you this part, my colleagues and I, once we understand what actually really took place, because this is a big talk that's going on right now, what took place, once we understand, I am guaranteeing you legislation will be taking place so this will never happen again, ever, because nobody could have ever thought this will happen here. And that's what's going to happen. So, de parte de todos nosotros, quiero darle las gracias a toda la prensa que está aquí.
Commissioner Jose Diaz, going into Spanish now. This is kind of how these news conferences have worked. They'll do a portion of it in English and then they'll do it in Spanish as well. But he was just thanking everybody who's on site, thanking the administrator, the governor for all the resources that are now at the site. I want to go back to what the Surfside mayor was saying, Charles Burkett. He was talking about there's a sister building of the Champlain Towers. It's just a couple of blocks from this site. Residents have valid concerns. They're wondering because, listen, that building, both buildings were constructed about the same time. They have the same plans. They have the same construction. The floor plans are the same. And it was the same construction company, the development, that put these buildings together. So the residents who are living in the sister building a couple blocks away, valid concerns that, you know, they may want to be relocated. They asked the mayor specifically, are we safe in our building? And he was honest. He said he didn't know.
Yeah, and wrapping up what the commissioner was talking about as well, something that really stood out, the theme of working together as one team. I mean, we've been seeing these press conferences with people from state, local, federal now with that FEMA representative here, Democrat, Republican. I mean, doesn't matter the jurisdiction, everyone coming together as one team, really stressing the importance of that these officials are trying to do. And talking about, too, making sure first responders are taken care of. And speaking of legislation, Commissioner Diaz talking about guaranteeing that legislation will be happening, obviously not right now, but when things have settled and we know more. He said, and I quote, "So this will never happen again ever, because nobody could have ever thought this would happen here." Very powerful words, and of course that is something that is on everybody's minds, how this could have happened. All right, now let's listen into someone from Miami-Dade.
Enough the hard work, these brave men and women, and the efforts and tireless efforts that we're doing. 24 hours. It's nonstop. We have several teams, as the mayor mentioned, in regards to our strategies and how we're looking with the deployment of the resources that we have. It's just incredible. I couldn't be prouder as the fire chief of what we're doing. It's an extremely difficult situation. Again, what we've encountered, which I've been emphasizing, is just the most difficult. And you know, our rescue teams are nonstop, doing all that we can, searching every area, every bit of hope, to see if we can find a live victim. As the mayor stated, went in detail in regards to our operations. You know, we're rotating through. We've gridded out the debris field. We have more heavier equipment we brought in, so you see larger cranes in different aspects. This is an evolving process. So as we continue, our searches will be modified throughout, and we'll continue our process throughout the operation. Thank you.
Kevin, do you want to get the floor to DEM? Kevin Guthrie.
Good morning, Kevin Guthrie, Florida Division of Emergency Management Director. I just want to thank the governor for his leadership and Mayor Cava for cooperation. I want to welcome the administrator, Criswell, here with us. I think it's very important that everyone sees that we're in lockstep together, right, at the federal level, state level, local level, for the benefit of those individuals that are here involved in this disaster. As far as state resources, I just want to give a quick update. As Mayor Cava has already mentioned, Volunteer Florida will be coming in to assist with donations management today. We have the Department of Business Economic Development that is here on scene, and they're going to assist with businesses and residents with you know, the economic injury side of what this has caused. Again, as you've heard everyone say, there are federal urban search and rescue teams. I have been in constant contact with FEMA, with the administrator. They are ready to send them when the chief has advised we need that assistance. So again, I want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. There have been offers, and we know that there are offers, and the chief will let us know when he needs those resources. With that being said, I appreciate your time.
Okay, we're going to open it up for questions now. After the questions, I'm going to bring the Creole translator, so please let's leave the mics here until she's done and the conference concludes. Okay, remember, when you're called upon, address the question who it's going to be for. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Judy Block, ABC News. I'm wondering if you know what the size of the report is coming in. Also, are there any, have we discovered any pockets? Are there any openings? Has anything happened during the overnight?
We've come across no natural voids that we've seen so far. As we're opening up, as was mentioned with the trenches and the other aspects, any void, any crevice that the teams see, you know, that's where they're searched through. We continue our standard process as they've been trained, using all the resources that we have. Anything that shows in the positive potential, any little bit of potential, the crews are aggressively then in that area. Now, obviously aggressively, but it has to be a methodical process. So they're well trained. We're go all over the country, you know. So we have all the Florida teams. Actually, the other three will looking to bring in as well. So we'll have all the Florida teams here, and we'll continue this process the way we've been moving. So.
Have you seen the seismology report, and how will that impact your rescue mission?
I haven't. We have several engineers that are constantly monitoring. I mean, so that part of it's critical. So we're constantly monitoring. Nothing's been brought forward. You know, it's always a concern. We're always looking. The engineers will kind of guide our teams where looking process-wise, making sure, you know, things are short, making sure they're using proper techniques and how we're doing things. So obviously, safety is a paramount for ours, but it's very difficult. I mean, we want to do all that we can. So obviously, we're moving as fast as we can, as hard as we can, you know, to try the most positive outcome as possible.
We have a question right here.
For the Governor. My name's Jamie, I'm from the Telegraph. The local police here have had their holiday leave cancelled. They're working 12-hour shifts. You say you're in discussions about bringing in extra resources, but this weekend you sent dozens of Florida police down to Texas to help with the border. Is that the best use of resources?
So those would not be people that would deploy in this situation. Those were like highway patrol, fish and wildlife. So it has nothing to do with this. And so any type of connection you're making is just totally wrong and political. As soon as they have a request, when they come to Kevin or they come to me for help locally, we will work to fill that request. There has been no such requests at this time, and part of the reason there hasn't been is because these guys are some of the best in the business. I'd hope that none of these things would ever happen anywhere, but if something like this happens, the people you would want are Miami-Dade Search and Rescue. These teams have gone all over the world. These are the people that you want, and they've been there within minutes, and it's been nonstop. And I've thanked them a number of times. I know the mayor's thanked them a number of times. We should all thank them because they've done a fantastic job. Should there be a need for more, we have mutual aid agreements with states. We've moved people around from the state with these task forces as well. We'll absolutely meet that. But they are stepping up and meeting the challenge, and their needs have been met. And when it gets to the point where we may need to do, we will. But there has not been a request for that up to this point.
A question for Alan, if you don't mind, please go. Sorry, sir. Mark Helmut from the Sky News UK. I realise this is a highly emotive issue, both to your men and women in the field and also for the families. Are you able to say when this search and rescue effort becomes a search and recovery operation?
No, at this time I'm not. Hope, and that's what I'm focusing on. So I'm going to continue that as much as possible. That's the driving message. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to continue moving and searching as hard as we can and for as long as we can until we have to make that decision. So no, that hasn't come across at all. Again, it's very difficult. What we're encountering here is a very extreme, challenging situation. This type of collapse is difficult, and definitely federally, but that's what I want to emphasize. The teams we have here, we're part of the federal team. So I'm in the state assets, the federal assets. It's incredible support to be here, but our task force, we're part of those deployments and stuff as well. So we're here and we'll continue moving. So it's remarkable with the support that we have, and it's remarkable here in Miami-Dade County with our task force here and what we've been using, and then just within the state and the task force being here. So we'll continue moving through and doing what we're doing, and obviously trying the best that we can.
Can you paint a picture?
One second.
About these trenches and how you're able to do that safely, and how these trenches are working?
Well, again, this is where we use video. We're on hand. Obviously, tactics change throughout. And I don't want to get too technical in regards to what we're doing, but obviously we're searching at the beginning where we found void spaces that we felt most probability looking. That's where we obviously deployed right away and searched it. Now you see a lot more activity on top with the equipment coming through and us moving larger debris. So as we see void spaces, that's where they come through, and it's a very, very slow process, because if there's anything we see, we need to make sure we're going through in a very slow, methodical process for the best attempt of a rescue.
So they're like beams you put out, explain, just so people can understand, families can understand, why it takes so long, the process of safely doing this for whoever's underneath.
Well, the critical component is because of the building collapse. So obviously the debris fields, scattered throughout, and it's compacted, extremely compacted. So it's a very slow process where we have to shore, we have to stabilize the best we can as we're moving through the area, because again, if there is a void space, we want to make sure we're given every possibility for survival. And that's why we can't just go in and moving things, erratically, because that's going to have the worst outcome possible.
Question right here.
Will Robinson Smith, Spectrum News 13 Orlando. Condo. With the weather improving over the last day or so and the fire not being as much of an issue, has that allowed you to do certain things within the sort of parameter that may have been more difficult with those other factors built in?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we've continued our strategy throughout. So it's as this evolves, we'll change our searches. Definitely the weather, helps with other aspects. Containing the fire definitely helps. So as we continue with this process, we'll do what we can to get there.
Buenos días. Al jefe de la policía, no sé si puede hablar el jefe Ramírez o alguien que nos pueda explicar en español por qué ha sido lento el proceso de rescate y el proceso de identificación. Algunas familias dicen, digamos ahora acaban de anunciar 9 restos humanos. ¿Cómo va a ser el proceso de identificación?
Bueno, nuestro detectivo de homicide, el crime scene.
So you are listening to Miami-Dade Police Director Freddie Ramirez recap some of the questions that were asked and, of course, the answers coming from various officials. I do want to go back to Chief Alan Cominsky, though, with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, where he, of course, commends his team and the rescue team nonstop. This despite some frustrations they have heard about regarding the process and how painstakingly slow it can be. But again, words we keep hearing: meticulous, methodical. They keep trying to reassure the public that there is a plan and a reason behind every action. We also heard from Kevin Guthrie with the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the director there. He thanked the governor as well as Mayor Cava, and of course welcoming that FEMA administrator, Deanne Criswell is her name. They talked about assisting with the federal urban search and rescue teams, of course that constant contact with FEMA and making sure that any assistance that is needed is accounted for.
I'm going to go back to what Chief Alan Cominsky was talking about. I'm sure you've had people ask you questions, and I've had people ask me the same thing, is, why are they moving so slowly? Why can't they just go in? And he said they've got engineers right there on scene. And they are basically managing how these crews rescue, where they're focused on that pile, because a part of that pile could fall. This is all about safeties, and it's painstakingly slow because they literally have to take piece by piece off the top of that mountain of rubble.
Yeah, and something that stood out to me about what they said is it seems, if you look at it, that the debris feels scattered throughout, but it is extremely compacted, again, because this building literally pancaked to the floor.
We want to check in now with Jim DeFeedy. He's standing by with his take on this. Jim?
A couple of things that stand out to me. One, I think if you sort of look at it, it's been at least 78 hours, heading on 79 hours since anyone alive has been pulled from the debris, from the rubble. So that's a very long time. The only people that were brought out were in the first few hours after the collapse. We've seen no one rescued since then. That certainly is not good news as we continue to look at this. The other thing, just to talk about that trough that the fire commissioner was saying, what they're doing is, if you think about it in terms of almost like this debris field being like a layer cake, what they're doing is they're taking a small slice out of it so that they can look further down into the different layers of the cake. If you look at a cake from the outside, it looks intact, but once you sort of cut through a little slough of it, then you can sort of dig deeper into it, and that's what that TRA is all about. Not to get too technical, as the fire chief says.
It's also separating the part that's not on fire from the part that was on fire, so they could search those areas as well. Jim, we'll talk about the sister building of Champlain Towers, and we heard. Actually, we're going to go back to the governor now. He's still taking questions.
The response would be either from a local or state level, or even both. I will say, now this building was built in the early 80s. South Florida has some of the most stringent building codes in the country, and so I have a lot of confidence that what's being built in the here and now are being done very, very well, and that would be resistant not only to a thing like this, but storms, which we obviously are very prone to. So it's something that the state's taken very seriously, but particularly South Florida has taken very seriously. I do think, of course, rescuing folks, and then whatever needs to be recovered after that, and then getting people assistance to make sure folks end up on their feet with that mission. Those are the core ones. But then that next most important thing is, why did this happen? and there's folks from the feds here. We have state engineers. They have local folks. So this is going to be very important. But I do think it's important that we get a definitive explanation and then be able to go. But clearly, if there's anything that could be done to prevent something like this, we've got to do everything we can to do that.
I just wanted to know from the mayor, you said that there was somebody who was taken to the hospital. Is that correct? I mean, was there anybody who was still alive or conscious? And are families going to the scene, or do authorities have plans to take the families to the scene at some point?
Yes. So the hospital was one of the first victims who did pass away and has been reported. We are working with the families, and there will be an opportunity for visitation. It will be a very private event.